Welcome back to another video. My name is WorldofJCC and I am here on a much requested video to try and give you guys some tips if you are new to Pro Club. So sit back and enjoy, and if you do enjoy the content, please do go ahead and subscribe and feel free to leave a like on the video. That would be awesome and help me out massively. Let's get into my first tips for new players. So my first tip is going to be trying out different builds. Now I do have two different striker build tip videos that are currently up on my channel. I have a centre back tips, a centre mid tips. I'll link them in the top right hand corner, or you can find them in the description. You know, the striker one particularly useful as most people do play in that position when they start off in pro clubs, and that video will tell you exactly where to put your skill points in the order that you unlock them, that I feel is the best way to do it. You do get 110 skill points and it takes you around 120 games to unlock all of them. But look, this isn't just me shamelessly promoting my other videos. There are other good build videos out there from YouTubers. Have a look, see what works for you. Just try out different builds, because for me at the moment, 5'10", 163 pounds is my favourite build to play in striker. But like, don't worry, there's a ton of different options that you can use. The second big tip is time finishing. Again, if you are playing in an attacking position, you will need to get time finishing down. If you can get those green time finesses going, you are going to be OP. Guys, it really is important. Get the trainer on in the menus. You can do it very easily. You can just have the bar come up when you shoot, so you know exactly when to click circle the second time. I highly recommend that. If you are new to pro clubs, it will help you out massively. Just get practicing it. You're going to miss a few, but it'll be worth it in the end. Third big tip for you guys is any. You need one, okay? If you have a decent player in the squad, put him in the any position right now. Do not give him a choice. I know what you're going to be saying. If you do play without an any, I used to be like you. I used to play with no any, but my God, it's time to stop. Playing with an any just gives you so much more control and really does take away all of the AI involvement, as much as possible at least, from FIFA, which for me is what makes it the best. That's why I love 11-man pro clubs. But when you're playing low man, you're new to clubs and there's 2 or 3 of you, get an any in. The best player out of you, whoever's good at defending and winning the ball back, get him in that any position. It's also important to note the filters that a lot of people might not know. If you don't know, you need to know. Set the filters to what you have on screen. You can see me going through. If you do not understand the filters, comment down below. I will try and respond to anyone. But basically, you want all the filters on because you don't want to come up against more than, like, if there's 3 of you, you don't want to come up against like 7, 8, 9, 15, and that will happen sometimes, unfortunately, if you do not have the filters on. So put them all on. Goalkeeper as well. If you have a goalkeeper, then you might want it off so you don't always come up against the goalkeeper, but it's important to use the filters to your advantage, especially when you're new to the game. Tip 4 is where to play. And this is important, okay? My advice to you, if there's 2 of you, I would have 1 player in any and 1 player in striker. If there's 3 of you, I would have 1 player any, 1 striker, and 1 cam. And if there's 4 of you, I'd have 1 player in any, 1 striker, 1 cam, and 1 central midfielder or CDM to win the ball back. That's just what me and my mates play with, and it definitely works for us. Tip 5 is patience and composure. Now, this does come, of course, from experience on the game, but you see from last night's stream, these highlights on the screen, a lot of the goals we score are very big skill runs, kind of us messing around, but that's come from years and years of pro club experience. We know when we're playing against a team if we're good enough to just mess about or if we have to take it serious. And when we're new to the game, or when we play with people who are new to FIFA, it's always best just to recommend them using the X button as much as possible. I know that sounds quite demeaning, but it is seriously the best way to break down the opposition. If you're just using simple X passes, you can pretty much one-touch your way through a bad any on the other team. And normally when you start off on pro clubs, if you're in Division 10, the guys you're playing against, you know, 3 out of 5 aren't going to be that great. So you can get your way through just with little X passes. The long L1 triangles, big balls like that aren't really necessary when you're starting off on clubs, especially with a low-ranked player. It's not going to work for you. Patience and composure, and that comes from simple X passing. Tip 6 is a massive one. Please stop crossing. Everyone who we play when we start a new pro club and they're all low ranked, all they do is cross, and it's the easiest thing. I mean, yeah, you do get the occasional header goal from it, but it's poor. You want to be working on trying to break through with X passing, trying to get the ball into the middle rather than trying to lump the ball into the box and hope that someone gets their head on it. Look to run down the byline and then cut an X pass back like a sweat style. You guys know what I'm talking about. Try and play those X passes even when you're in and around the box. They are really effective. Tip 7 is going to be to pass to the CPU, or more specifically use the CPU. We see way too many people on pro clubs ignore the computer generated players instead of their pros and their mates pros. And sometimes obviously you do need to prioritize passing to the pros on the team, but you do need to make sure that you use the CPUs. It's important to go back to them in positions on the edge of the box. It really does create space and open it up. You can't just ignore them, and I'd say 90% of people do just ignore them when they're starting off on pro clubs, and it's probably their biggest downfall. So if you start X-passing it back to your CPUs, especially if you've got an Any there who's trusted on the ball, you'll see a massive difference in your gameplay. Tip number 8, the final tip I'm going to be throwing out today: play with players who are better than you. I do it a lot, guys. In my VFL series, in my VPG series, I know that sometimes it's a little bit hard to kind of find other players, especially when you're new to pro clubs. So I'd recommend going to the VFL, going to the VPG. Their links are in the description. They're two 11-man competitive independent pro club sites. You can sign up, find 11-man teams, and you can play with other players, and more specifically finding players that are more experienced and better than you. It's a really good way to improve. There's always someone better out there than you, so watch how good players play, even people who smash you in a pro clubs game. Yeah, okay, you're gonna be fuming, but try and see how they did it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying to analyze it, like don't rewatch it, but just while they're smashing you 5 or 6-0, if it's someone you think is really good at the game, just watch what they're doing. Maybe they're doing some of the things that I'm talking about. They're not crossing the ball. They're X-passing it around the middle. They're using the CPUs. They're not running away from each other. They're keeping their composure. They're timed finishing. All of those things will make you a better player on pro clubs. I do hope that this video has somewhat helped you out. Thank you to each and every one of you for watching. Thank you to all the new subscribers. We are close to 54,000 here on the channel. Welcome to the home of pro clubs. Subscribe for more tips, tricks, and everything pro clubs for FIFA 19. Please leave a like on this video on your way out. If you have enjoyed, leave a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.